My name is Radia Hayward. I am a thyroid cancer survivor. Okay, in March of 2011, I noticed a lump on the back of my neck, and I kind of thought that it was some type of lymph node or stemming from a cold. So I decided, well, let me get this checked out. And through a long monthly process, April 5th, 2011, it was determined that I had thyroid cancer. When I went to the doctor that day, I just assumed that she was going to be like, oh, okay, well, Mrs. Hayward, you're okay. You just have some lymph nodes that we could probably just give you some medicine, or just with proper care, you would be fine. Not knowing that as soon as she talked to me and told me how good I looked, that her words were, Mrs. Hayward, you have cancer. I was stunned. I was crying. I didn't even know where I was at that point. The first thing I thought about was my 3 kids. The second thing I thought about was I was 31. I was invincible. Why? How could somebody who was 31 be diagnosed with cancer? And then what kind of made it a little bit unsettling was that the cancer wasn't normally the normal thyroid cancer. It was actually more in depth. I had 42 lymph nodes of cancer, and it was a possibility of 2 cancers instead of 1. After a long 8-hour surgery and some healing, radiation, my family, the support of my family, my friends, I became a survivor October 26, 2012. It was very hard for me because again, like I said before, I have 3 kids, and I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. My faith in God has never left, but I also had that human side of me to where what was going to happen if I didn't make it through the 8-hour surgery and if I didn't make it through the cancer. So I had to have a little talk with my sons who at that time were 11 and 10, and my baby girl was 5. I had to talk to them and let them know that I just needed them to do 3 things. One was put God first. Second was love yourself. And third, love your siblings, and God will take care of the rest. And in following through those instructions that I gave my kids, I am now a thyroid cancer survivor. I've been a survivor since October 26, 2012. My faith God is awesome. God is awesome. God has shown me through this cocoon experience how He can make me a beautiful butterfly. And in December of 2013, my mom took sick and became a brain cancer patient. And right now she's going through chemo and radiation. But all the things that God has allowed me to go through in my cocoon experience is helping me to help my mom, so that therefore she can be a brain cancer survivor. The first thing is have faith and understand that it's not going to go smooth. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to not want to eat. You're going to not want to get up. But through all of that, you will become a beautiful butterfly. Regardless, your butterfly might be purple, green, pink, red, but it will come. Your cocoon experience helps you go through. It helps you understand how great the process is. It may seem dire, it may seem time consuming, it may seem like you at your lowest point, but you got to keep that fight. You got to keep wanting to. There may be times when you don't even want to get out of bed, but even if you just move that one arm, that other foot, that other head, you shake your head, you read, believe in yourself, believe in God. Most of all, believe in God, because no matter what, He never puts more on you than you can bear. He knows the process. He knows what He's given you, and He knows that He presents this situation to you because He knows you can handle it. Now, the handling may be difficult, but why not be difficult? Because at the end of it, who gets the glory? God does.
Hello, I'm Shamiki Gray. I'm the Southeast Regional President of an organization called Simply United Together. This is my daughter, Shia Gray. We are an organization where we're in 50 states and at least 47 countries. We have 288 chapters. We deal with homelessness, domestic violence. We were founded in May 2011 by our founder, James Jones. We have grown tremendously over the years. But we also have initiatives, and one of our initiatives is sickle cell disease. And I am so proud to bring awareness to this disease because it's so hush-hush. And a lot of people don't like to talk about sickle cell disease, but it affects a lot of people. It affects you globally. It affects everybody. Children is most. And we have a good support team as far as Dr. Jackson and Dr. Cantor at the MUSC hospital. So.
Hello, I'm Chantel Hicks, and this is my grandmother, Dolores Hicks. She passed in 2013 in January from cancer, and she actually had 3 types of cancer. It started in her uterus, and once they did a hysterectomy, it traveled through her organs and it attacked her bones. And then after it caused a lot of problems and caused holes in her bones, and it eventually took one of her lungs. And then it hit her stomach, and that was when she passed. In 2005, we first learned that she had cancer in her uterus. She told us after she came home from the doctor, and they had told her that she would eventually lose her uterus, so they did the hysterectomy. At that point, I was really upset because she had raised me, and she was like my mother. So I didn't know how to take it. So instead of being there for her, I just went off into the streets. And I was still in high school, so I just buried my head in my books and my free time into work. Well, my grandmother never complained about it. Every time someone asked her how she felt or how she was doing, she'd always say, she'd always refer to the Lord. She'll say, oh, well, God's grace, I'm still here. I can't complain. She'll always encourage others rather than put herself down. And the days that she didn't feel too well, she'll always, ask us to, she'll read a book. It was an empowering book. It's a type of book for women that was going through cancer. And it really lifted her up most of the time. And then other times, she just sang and cooked. And that's how she really dealt with it, just praying and talking to God all day. Now that she's gone, at first I was pretty angry because I didn't know how to take it. She was my strength, and she was the reason why I did everything I ever did in my life. At first I was upset, no one could talk to me. And then I kind of haven't dealt with it fully. It still feels kind of new to me because she's been here my whole life. And now I just, instead of taking anger out on people and on certain situations, I'll just uplift others about it. Because there's a lot of different cancers in the world, and there are many people who look up to their grandparents or to the person who's sick for strength. And sometimes you need someone else to be strong for you.
Well, I'm Monique Wright. I'm 23 years old, and I've been married about 2 years. Also, I had domestic issues with my husband due to the fact of financial burdens. Mm-hmm. My husband works for Nucor, makes great money. He averages about $1,200 a week.
Yeah.
We started having problems later on in life when his mother started going through foreclosure. Mm-hmm. So his mother started going through foreclosure. He started smoking weed more and more. He doesn't smoke cheap weed. He smokes loud. So when I mean his mother having problems and our bills, I feel as though our bills should always come first. And I can notice with the pressure of him having that, it's just he just started taking anger out on me and the kids. Like me and his daughter, he didn't want to play with his daughter. Didn't want to do anything. So of course that would have me upset. And with that, it's like he's 6'2", I'm 5'6". Every time he wants to run up and push me and things like that. And it got to the point where it got real bad where May 6th, where he actually put his hands around my throat and scratched me, and we had an all-out fight. Scratched me, tried to pour beer in my hair, kicked dents in my car, threw glass at me. It's been a big issue. We've had fights before in the past where nothing's had ever gotten this bad. And I'm like, with all the past issues, the drug problems, the money problems, you getting mad, throwing stuff, kicking dents in my car. This is my 3rd car. He total lost the first 2 cars. So I think May 6th was an eye-opener for me. It's like, you didn't have respect for me and your daughter. You tried to throw a beer, almost hit your daughter. It was eye-opening for me that I can't deal with that anymore. It's like, either I have to understand it's either about my life or me and my kids. Because, by all means, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my kids. But it almost to the point where I picked up a knife and I almost stabbed him. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. So that's what made me walk out, press charges and everything, which they've still yet to catch him. So now I'm having to get a divorce. I'm having to move because he broke my back window. What was that, Monday? Yeah, nothing but a big issue for me. I feel bad because, you have some women, like in my situation, my husband has been the sole provider since I've been 18 years old. He's been the one paying all of my bills. You have some women that stay with them because they have no other way or no other option. Like me, I'm one of the ones where I don't have an option. My best bet is to stay with. I'm not going to stay with them because at the end of the day, it's my life or me and my kids. I have to do what I have to do. So right now, I'm busting my ass. I'm working 3 jobs to make sure I don't have to deal with this no more. It's like, I feel bad for a lot of them because they don't have any other options or no choices. That's all that they have. Like, all I have is my dad. I don't have a mom to help me. All I have is my dad. My dad has his own problems. So, a lot of people's like, get over it. You can stay with them. I'm not going to tolerate that because at the end of the day, I'm not going to set that example for my children. Because my kids know they deserve a lot more than that. And these points with my daughter wrote me a letter. She's 6. She wrote me a letter telling me she hates her dad. She wished her dad to die. That was an eye-opener for me. It's like, if my child feels that way, she's seen us. He has no respect for her. He doesn't care about her. Your own child. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. If you're seeing these situation problems now, what do you expect to happen in the long run? They can kill you. They can hurt you. You can even turn around and kill them and end up in jail for them. That's what took for me. I picked up a knife. I almost stabbed him in front of my daughter. It's like, I can't do this anymore. Can't do it. Get away. If you got to run. Find a shelter. Call the police. Pick up something. But you need to do something because it can get real bad. Get back real bad real quick. There's so many women out here that die 24/7 because I wasn't even going to press charges at first. Police officer was like, no, he's like, if you're not doing it, it's just going to, let him keep on doing it. It's a pattern of the same shit. Like, he kicked dents in this is my 3rd freaking car in a year and a half. 3rd car. It's like he doesn't appreciate anything. You breaking my windows, you breaking the kids' window with your kids in the house.
Hello, I am Amber, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer March 22nd, 2014. I found out by going to the ER, my leg was hurting, and I found out that way by them doing a blood scan, CAT scan, and also a chest x-ray. And I found out that I was in stage 4 breast cancer because it spread to my hip joint. Haven't spread to any of my main organs, thank God of that. But yes, I'm in a fight right now for, I don't know, hopefully it'll be over soon. And other than that, that's it. I'm just fighting right now. I've got my CAT scan and all that done yesterday. Everything is responding excellent. My tumor has shrunk. They barely can see anything. The tissue walls, all that doctor talk they were talking, I don't know. But the reality is that everything is going good. I have 2 more treatments of chemo to do, then I'll be done, and I'll be going on to the estrogen pills where I just take those daily until it gets all out of my system. And I'm just going to continue to fight. Okay, right now I'm going through this is the 2nd step. I did the blood drawing. I know everybody who was following this is the 2nd step. Okay, now yesterday I did a CAT scan. They find out to see what's going on up in my breast area. Everybody know, well, people who don't know, it's in the left breast. So we're going to see how much the tumor shrank. Today I'm supposed to be getting chemo today. So what they do is just come in and tell me my results from my CAT scan and tell me what's the next steps to fighting this cancer off. Other than that, that's about it. We're just waiting on my fine doctor and my cute nurse to come in. Yeah. Right, the dollar flip-flop is pop. Oh gosh, oh Lord. Good news. Okay, I gotta keep still. Okay, keep.
Tell everybody because they want to know. Tell everybody it's good news.
It's good news. We want to hear what they got to say. Y'all just stay tuned. Come on, what? PT. No, come on, PT. Let's go.
Let's go. No, it's a really good response. So the mass behind the pectoral muscle is completely resolved.
Okay.
The things in in your armpit are below a centimeter.
Really?
Yeah, so millimeters.
How about the breast itself?
Breast itself, it's marked response. Let me see the measurements. Basically, everything's responding. There are no new lesions, no new concerns.
Just go ahead and cry.
I don't cry. That's just
Breast mass demonstrates marked reduction in size. There is now only plaque-like residual soft tissue at the site.
And what that mean?
That
Means
means
they
that,
can't even like measure
so
it.
instead of being a big mass, it's just a little flat part.
I can tell it. I can feel it.
So we don't gotta do no more chemo?
Please,
Well,
please no.
But you're tolerating it so well.
it's a choice.
She's dancing around.
It's a choice.
So we have some shortness of breath.
I get to drink the
Tell us some shortness of breath.
No shortness. I'm just playing. No shortness. Is that going on? Oh gosh, thanks.
She was the other
Oh boy, I can't.
We've been waiting for this day for so long.
Oh, let me drink some water.
Everybody on the Facebook page
Okay, go ahead.
meetings
She is ER 40% positive.
What is
Or
that?
sorry, 95% ER positive.
have the stage went down.
So once you've established a stage that when it spread to that bone, that where the start of that stage 4 disease, it would downstage as far as measuring stuff, but we don't really change you back your stage once it's already gotten somewhere else.
Okay.
So you do have options. So you got to think this through.
Okay.
You do have a tumor that responds to estrogen suppression. So at some point, whether that's now or that's a month or two from now, we can attempt to control this disease with anti-estrogen pills alone and no more chemo.
Yes.
What my consideration though is you've had such a dramatic response to this upfront treatment is, do we try to get 5 and 6 done and then not go back to this chemo again? We would do something different down the road.
Okay.
I don't feel strong. If you were telling me I've had enough side effects, I really can't do more chemo right now, I'd say, good, we'll just do anti-estrogen pills. But if you tell me that I've tolerated this well, I'm liking this change, let's do 2 more before we let it go, I think that's a good alternative too. So, do you have a strong preference in stopping now or finishing the
I
6?
really don't have a strong pair. I would like to complete it. I would say I would like to complete it.
You said you didn't want to do
I
it
don't
today.
want to, but
So you say you don't want to do it today.
mind your business.
I don't like to speak up. I have to speak up for her. She's like, we're not doing
I don't-
chemo today if we get good
No,
results.
listen. I don't want to do the chemo, but being that it's giving me a high response and then it does feed off estrogen, I would say I would complete it so I can be done with it. Because who says I start the estrogen pills and then it starts? You know what I'm saying? At least I can say I completed it and then I can start with the estrogen pills and then I don't have to worry about chemo.
No,
That's
that's a
what I'm
good point.
thinking.
No, but the
Fine,
other, just to
whatever.
expand that though, you don't have to do it today. If
Oh,
you
I
want to do it
don't
another
do
day
that.
next week or
I
something,
don't
that's fine.
want to drink now. I don't do it today. I don't want to do it today. I'm not doing it today.
So when
so
should we
next week.
reschedule it for?
We can reschedule it. You can do it next week or however.
Okay, next week. And since your Medicaid all came in, that'll cover all those prior bills you had downstairs.
Yes, I was so mad at them.
And we can put your treatments in my office as well, which makes my life a little
I
easier.
know. They take forever in the day. I gotta do
Where
this
your
time
office?
now.
This is, you're in my office, but she's been getting treated,
okay.
the downstairs where she was treated while we were getting her Medicaid settled is actually owned by the hospital.
Oh.
And so, but it's better for me if it's all in my one
It's all in the
system.
computer.
We have an infusion center that's identical to that one on the second floor here.
Oh,
Okay.
That's
But
why
it's
I was
the
at
same
yesterday,
drugs,
right?
same nursing, same everything. It's all good.
Okay.
Right, when you came in for the CT
When I
scan.
first found out about the words breast cancer, no, I was not in fear. I was in the mind state of what do I do next, because I was the type that already had started searching on Googling and finding out about breast cancer. Like they say, when you put things to the universe, it actually happens. But I already had started feeling a knot in my chest, but I was kind of afraid to go to the doctor, and I didn't have nobody who I could talk to tell them like, hey, I'm having this pain. I just was afraid. So I already had kind of figured out what it was. I self-diagnosed myself, and then I started Googling things and looking up what's the sign of breast cancer and all of that. And then when my nipple went inwards, that's when I really kind of panicked. But right when my nipple went inwards, that's when my legs started hurting anyway. So I went to the doctor and they told me. So when they came in the room and told me that, I wasn't shocked because I already had self-diagnosed myself. So I was just like, what's the next step?
Responding. I don't think it has nothing to do too much with the chemo. I think it's a lot of that eating well. And I say, don't do the chemo. You need to just, not even the pills. You just need to start eating. Alright. That's fine.
Everybody know I do have a Fight for Amber campaign. My mission for this campaign is to make this campaign really, really big for years to come. and this fight with Amber, but we have a fight for Amber now because I'm actually going through it, but hopefully it'll be fight with Amber. And basically what I want to do is I want to be able to help all young ladies who going through breast cancer or any type of cancer, help them with their moral support, be their support system, help them with their medical bills, help them with their mammograms, and basically just be there to be a helping hand, because when you get diagnosed with this disease, they don't tell you, oh, they don't really give you the hand on hand that you may need, because everything I'm finding out for myself, and being that I'm going through it, I see what it is that it takes for someone to be diagnosed with breast cancer to go through. I had to stop working. Like, I had to quit working. I couldn't work because I didn't have any income. So basically I just had to rely on my family and rely on my friends to help me out until I started getting income. And this Fight for Amber campaign is really helping me out a lot, and that's what I want to do with other people. Help them pay their bills, buy them groceries, help their kids get to summer camp, just basically help and support people who get diagnosed with it, basically.
Hello, my name is Harvey Nelson, 37 years old, and I have sickle cell disease. I first got diagnosed with sickle cell when I was a baby. That's one of the gang get diagnosed when I was a child. You want to be born. I first started finding out what sickle cell really is when I was in elementary school, realizing I was in and out of the hospital. I wasn't like the rest of the kids and everything else. I basically had special privileges because of certain things that I was going through, and I was going to wonder why. So I started asking a lot of questions and everything, and I actually found out what sickle cell was. And sickle cell is basically a blood disorder that actually affects your red blood cells and make you go through crisis. And what a crisis is basically when your bone joints are not getting enough oxygen and you ache out to a point where you actually can't move or you're suffering to a certain point. How does the crisis feel? It feels like, to me, how I describe to most people is you having a baby with no earthquake. As I adjusted, as I got a little bit of sickle cell, I had 3 kids and realized none of them have sickle cell, thank God. It's hard for me to kind of work at a certain point because nowadays I get sick for about a week and I got to sit out of work for probably about 3-4 days. And with most companies that hire me, it's kind of to a point where they don't have insurance to cover me because I might work for probably 2-3.5 weeks out the whole month. I might be hospitalized, I might be sick for the rest of the time. So in order for me to actually get into the workforce, I have to find somebody who's willing to sacrifice that time and the patience to work with me and everything. Probably have to work part-time. Sickle cell has actually changed my whole life in the last couple of years because lately I've been sick almost every month, and it's to the point where I can't work, I can't do anything, so the only thing I do is actually just try to stick it out and try to deal with the pain and everything, but it's almost to a point where it's controlling your life to a point where you can't adjust to it to a certain point because every time you look, you're sick or you are always in pain. To help bring sickle cell awareness to the community, what I usually do is I talk to a lot of kids within the elementary schools and let them know what they actually what sickle cell is, because a lot of kids within the elementary school don't even know what sickle cell is, and they have classmates that actually deal with it and they actually don't understand. So what I do on a lot of my spare time is actually go to elementary schools and talk to kids, explain to them what sickle cell is, what the crisis is, and how to deal with it, and not to actually treat other kids as different as they are, because they don't want to be treated different. Actually, what sickle cell kids want to do is actually be treated the same and be treated as equal. And actually to help fight sickle cell, which we should do is not actually cancel out or actually subject some of these kids. We should actually accept them into the most sports programs, into more programs that actually involve physical attributes and everything. So I get involved with a lot of sports and everything, so that way a lot of kids don't actually have to actually deal with stress and sickle cell, because I coach those league sports and every kid on my team that actually has sickle cell, I didn't cancel them out, I actually treated them any different than anybody else. They played just like the same amount of time as anybody else, and like didn't get any special treatment. Actually, to me, they actually got treated better because they did have sickle cell. I also grew up with a sister who has sickle cell. Her name is Kara Nelson. She passed at the age of 19. But growing up in a household with someone who has sickle cell, it made me feel like I was never left out or anything. I felt like I always had somebody to go through the same symptoms and the same things I went through. Sometimes she was in the hospital, I'll be out, and 1 week I'll be in the hospital, and she'll be out. So there's a lot of back and forth with my mother and everything. With a parent who has 2 kids who has sickle cell, it's kind of hard because that one parent can't work. And it was a good thing I have both parents in my household in my life. So that way one can actually sit back and take care of both of us. So that way me and Karish didn't get left out of a lot of programs, a lot of things. I still still participated in a lot of after school programs and everything. Because in the household, I know I had somebody who I could talk to about sickle cell and who I could actually deal with sickle cell with and everything. When she passed at the age of 19, I thought my whole world crumbled because I realized there will never be nobody else who goes through the same thing that I go through, or who actually felt the pain that I feel, that I can actually go through and talk to them about it and everything. It's to a point where now when I get sick, I still try to reach out and talk to her and everything because my whole life up to the time she was 19, that's the only person I could have talked to about sickle cell. And being that I lost her at a young age, it's kind of hard for me to actually focus on a lot of things because I think about her a lot and a lot of things that I go through. So it's like when I get a lot of symptoms or go through a lot of crises and everything, my mind running across her and everything because I realized she was a victim of sickle cell at the age of 19, and me here I am 37 and I'm still living on and everything, and I feel like at any point in any time I could be next. So that's why I don't take sickle cell for granted and everything because I know the seriousness of the disease, and in the fact that I did lost my sister at a young age kind of hurt me to a point where sometimes I just want to give up. But being the fact that I do have other siblings and everything else and other people around me support me and everything, that would keep me going and everything.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Ishmael Almuid. Y'all know me as OSB or the O. I'm a survivor of bladder cancer. My brother is a survivor of Behçet's syndrome. That's a disease where you get blood clots on the heart. And this beautiful lady right here is my wife, Apache. She passed away from multiple sclerosis, end-stage multiple sclerosis. How? When I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, actually I was a child. I was 3 years old. And my mom, when she received the news, she always tells me these stories. Her heart dropped. She passed out with me in her hands. And, you know, from the ages of 3 to 8, it was a lot of radiation. It was a lot of chemotherapy. It was a lot of fevers, a lot of sick nights. I didn't really know I was sick until I would go to the doctors and they would tell me things, and they had a Broviac on my chest, which is basically a surgical tube that they implant. I mean, that they cut you open and they put a tube down in your chest and down into your lungs, and they push whatever type of fluid it is down into your chest, and it's taped on. So, and that would be my chemotherapy. And at about 3 days before my 8th birthday, I had one of the highest fevers ever, and my mom spent 3 hours on the phone praying with a deacon. I don't even know who he is. Shout out to Deacon whoever. But he prayed with my mom for about 3 hours. My mom keeps saying it was from 12 to 3, and sometimes she said it was from 3 to 6. The numbers change, but the next morning I went in for surgery, and you know, after the surgery, there was no more cancer. They were able to cut it out. And I had about 10 years of yearly checkups and treatments, and just living my life, growing up with it for those 5 years. I was just a regular kid, man. I lost my hair, I was bald, but I had fun. Nobody knew I had cancer, but the results and or should I say the effects of that growing up was that I had an overactive bladder, I had overactive bowels, I used to get in trouble all the time because I used the bathroom more than anybody, you know what I mean? So it was embarrassing pissing up and sometimes shitting on myself as a kid because teachers don't want to understand that I had bladder cancer. I had to bring my medical records to plenty schools, and my mom made so many teachers look like fools because they thought I was, you know, trying to cut class or whatever. But yeah, it was hard. You know what I mean? But I'm blessed to be here now. I'm 32 years old, not a trace of cancer. Well, I'm about to be 32, but not a trace of cancer in my body. And, you know, I thank the Most High for that. My brother was diagnosed with Behçet's syndrome again, that's Behçet syndrome / Kawasaki disease. Kawasaki spelled just like the motorcycle. You don't know how to spell it, you're shot. Kawasaki, Kawasaki. And once again, that's a disease where you have blood clots over the heart, which if they don't burst, it really won't bother you. But they have to be monitored. And my brother was diagnosed with that when he was about 16. And who knows, man? You know, I guess the universe knows and God knows best, because maybe had we been diagnosed at the same time, it would have probably killed my mom. But she was equipped and ready for this, so to speak. You know, the blood clot burst on my brother's heart at about 1 in the morning after he and I had a vicious brotherly spat and fight. I lost. At any rate, the blood clot burst on his heart. He was able to actually get up and go use the bathroom, and it burst while he was using the bathroom. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and you know, I walked into the bathroom. My brother was falling out of the door, and his face was purple, and this part of his chest was turning blue. And so we called the ambulance, and he underwent 2 triple heart bypass surgeries. The first one, he died. And, you know, my brother doesn't like to do TV interviews, camera interviews. He does not like to be in front of the camera. But he saw himself on the operating table. They were able to revive him, or should I say, the Most High it wasn't his time. So he was able to return. And undergoing the second triple heart bypass surgery, it was successful. And for like 4 to 7 years, he was on steroids for his heart. It made him swell up real big. He was up to like 350 pounds. And, you know, he had a weekly pill box, you know, kind of like you see in the nursing homes and in the hospitals. Sunday to Saturday, you know what I mean, all the way through. And he would take his pills. And as the days would go into his pills, you know, he'd go from taking 1 pill this day to 3 pills that day to 7 pills that day to 1 pill that day to 5 pills that day. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. And now, in 2014, he still kind of has some health complications, but they're not as bad. He's literally off of every med that they have prescribed to him. And once again, that is all chalked up to the grace of God. He was able to be married and function. He wasn't able to work any heavy duty jobs. He's on disability, not really trying to tell all his business, but this type of disease limits him to living a full life that he would want to. But he's able to live and survive and not have a colostomy bag or not have to go to the doctor every other day. So, you know, you have to deal with it, and you have to give the faith and the trust to the Most High. But more importantly, you have to keep the mindset as an adult. When you go through these things, I watched him keep the mindset that he was not going to let it beat him. And it hasn't beaten him. He's beating it. He has the disease. The disease does not have him. This is particularly near and dear to my heart. So if I cry, don't worry about it. But this is my wife. We were married for 12 years just this past June the 20th. And she was diagnosed in 2005. We got married at the age of 20. She was diagnosed in 2005, 6 months after a car wreck that she and I was in with multiple sclerosis. When she got the diagnosis from her neurologist, she immediately called me and told me that she's dying. She's gonna die. She was flipping. She didn't know, because they don't know nothing about multiple sclerosis. They don't know how to treat it. They don't know. Well, They're figuring out ways how to treat it, but then they didn't know how to treat it. They didn't know how to beat it. It's not a cure for it. It's not hereditary, and it can happen to anybody. And basically, what multiple sclerosis is, it's your body telling itself that it's sick. So your body begins to fight off an imaginary sickness that is not there. And while it's fighting the sickness, it is tearing away the protective coating around your nerves, which are called your myelin sheaths. Your myelin sheaths are being depleted by the lesions. The lesions start on your brain, and then your body attacks itself. So as the years go on, you may begin to lose feeling or motor skills in your foot, in your feet, your limbs, your lower and upper extremities. You may lose cognitive control, which means you cannot control your bladder. And my wife fought, she did as much research as she could. And again, we were young and married. With this happening our whole lives ahead of us. And if anybody out there actually knows Apache, like know her, they know that by the age of 21, she had done more than anybody had done. Had seen more money, graduated from college. She was doing it. Why she married me, don't ask me. Made me the lucky man. But at any rate, she fought. She did as much research as she could. Please get that for me, bro. She did as much research as she could on the disease. And she started with physical therapy. She was working while having the disease and doing physical therapy, her own physical therapy. She had a gym membership, and me and my sister Opal, we would go work out with her. As time went on, she was still being denied Medicaid and Medicare. So the disease was progressing. Her feet would drag. Her right foot would drag, and she would have to use the bathroom right now. You know what I mean? And that's how it started. And then she finally got accepted for Medicaid and Medicare, and they started giving her some medicines. So she went through about 3 different type of multiple sclerosis medicines, which are needles and shots, 3 different kinds. And by 2009, we were experiencing some marital turmoil, typical marital problems. You know what I mean? And they were kind of not serious, but they were serious enough for us to separate. So my wife moved up to Oklahoma. We didn't divorce, we just separated. She moved to Oklahoma with a family member, and she checked herself into the multiple sclerosis hospital in Oklahoma. Well, because of the life she had already lived and the things that she had been through previously from being with me and the things we had been through, the doctors deemed her schizophrenic because of the way she went on about things and the way her attitude was. My wife was not schizophrenic. My wife was Costa Rican and West Indian, and she just flat out didn't take no shit. And she was outspoken about everything. But if you let a doctor tell you that, they'll call you schizophrenic because they feel you're too much. Anyway, when my wife came home, her mental state was altered. Mentally she was saying that she could do it. Physically she couldn't. Mentally she would tell me, hey baby, I can walk, I can get up and walk. But I'd say, well, come on, let's get up and walk. And she couldn't find the strength to do it. So it got to a point that she needed to go to a 24-hour care convalescent home, a nursing home. And that was something that she said from day one, if I have to go to a nursing home, please kill me. And of course I'm not going to kill my wife. But I don't want to let her go to a convalescent home. But I had myself and my mother and myself, we had literally been taking care of my wife every day. And by this time, she couldn't walk. She couldn't really feed herself. She couldn't do her hair. She couldn't tie her shoes. We had to do that. We had to do that. And I was happy to do that. Regardless of any problem that we went through, I was happy to do that. And finally let her go to a convalescent home. And she didn't want me to leave her there. The first day we had to register in, register her in, I stayed there with her for like 7 hours. And I had to leave. And she said, "Don't leave me." And I had to explain to her why I had to leave. And I had to explain to her why she had to be there. She understood, but she didn't like it. She didn't want me to go. So I stayed the night, the first night. Killed me. It killed me. Because every time she would ask me to lay in the bed with her, I would be busy doing something else. And now we can't even have any privacy. So as time went on, I would come see her every day and every day and every day. And the disease progressed to the point that her arms started to decline in like this. She couldn't use her hands like that. Her feet, her ankles, she couldn't hold the weight up. She couldn't walk. She had to get a chair. But they fit her for the chair, but her motor skills wouldn't let her work the chair. No matter how much therapy we did, her body just declined. The disease progressed, and it progressed aggressively. See, there are 3 states of multiple sclerosis. There is aggressive, there is regressive. Aggressive, where it just accelerates at a steady rate. It just tears your body down at a steady rate. Might be fast, might be slow. Then there's regressive, where it comes and it goes. And then there's progressive aggressive, where it just moves and it doesn't stop. And that's what happened to her. And in her case, medical university, all of the neurologists, people at the nursing home, the doctors at the nursing home, the head doctors, nobody had ever seen a case in a 29 to 30-year-old woman where it just accelerates that fast. Not in the history of this disease has it ever accelerated that fast. And I was there for her. And it came a time where I couldn't get there every day because transportation got messed up. And my wife was all the way in Johns Island, and I wasn't able to see her for a month. And by the time I was able to get there, she wasn't talking. Not because she lost, multiple sclerosis attacked her vocals. No, she was depressed. She wasn't getting human interaction and contact other than a nurse coming in there and turning her and changing her and washing her. And that was it. Nobody spoke to her. And that's what they do in nursing homes. Some people are genuine and they love you. And some people just look at your loved ones as a check. And my wife didn't talk. She didn't talk at all. She just stopped talking. So we started going to the doctor to find out. I chalked it up to depression, but I would talk to her. She would still kiss me. We would still love each other. She would acknowledge that she knew what I was saying through her eyes. So we established the blinking system. Once for yes, twice for no. So you fast forward all the way up to now, 8 years into the disease. I had my wife removed out of one nursing home because they were treating her bad. They banned me from the nursing home because I made them do their job. I had to get legal counsel involved, all of that. And I fought for my wife. I lived for my wife. I laughed for my wife. I ran for my wife. I stood up for my wife. And a week, or should I say the week that she died, I was at a care plan meeting, and the doctors were telling me, it's a miracle she's lasted this long. They're surprised, no disrespect, but they're surprised that she's not dead by now, and if she dies in another couple of days, wouldn't be no surprise. If she dies 6 months from now, it wouldn't be no surprise. But her quality of life and her comfortability of life is steady. Nothing's increasing, nothing's decreasing. More importantly, she had a fluid buildup on her chest from inactivity. All of you couch potatoes out there, you people who don't want to exercise, you people who rather just sleep in bed 3 days because you got 3 days off, understand this, that if you don't get your ass up, if you lay in the bed long enough, you're going to have fluid on your chest. It's going to make it hard for you to breathe, hard for you to swallow, hard for you to talk. And that's why my wife stopped talking. She had too much fluid on her chest. She had to get a tracheotomy. No matter how much fluid we would suction out of her chest, it would continue to accumulate because she was inactive. If you know my wife, you knew my wife was never inactive. She was a soccer player. She lifted weights. She liked to dance. Everything. You understand? She liked to play basketball. She was active. She was not a couch potato. So we had the care plan meeting that Wednesday. And I see my wife every day. And upon coming back from out of town, from visiting my dad, we got back to Charleston. And if anybody knows me, they know I never struggled with going to see my wife. I struggled with going to see my wife mainly because I didn't want to come into the nursing home too late. I didn't want to wake anybody up. But I knew that if I went there, chances are my baby's awake. Or she's lightly sleeping because I told her that morning I was coming back. Well, she had respiratory trouble Saturday night. I called it. I told the nurses, hey, monitor her. She's getting a fever. And she did. And Sunday morning they called me and said, yeah, Ishmael, you were right. She was having some respiratory troubles, but we got her stable. She's okay. Now, again, if anybody knows me, they know that when my wife has respiratory trouble, I get scared because it looks like she's about to go. So I guess that we had came through so many episodes of respiratory situations, complications, that I had got to a comfortable place where I knew that, hey, let's come in there and be my baby rock and help her will herself back. Well, coming home again, like I said, I was coming home from Columbia and I was looking out of the moon roof and I was just looking at the stars. And I promise you I could hear her say, Ishmael, I'm tired. Now, I didn't acknowledge it. I just heard it because I was in meditation. Like, the music was blasting and I couldn't even hear the music. And when I opened my eyes, I said to myself, I wonder if she's tired of this. So I struggled with going to see her. Monday morning, I woke up at 8 o'clock to a phone call from the nursing home. And it was the woman from hospice. And she told me that my wife had passed away. I beat myself up so fucking bad because I was like, if I would have seen her, she would have made it. She'd been here this morning. Yo, I was so mad, I slapped the fucking screen out my computer. Out, literally out, gone. Didn't give a shit. But she left this world as she declined in MS. I made sure she got her hair done like she always did. I made sure she was fresh. Even if she didn't have the clothes that I bought for them to put on her, I made sure that she was fresh. I kept her nails trimmed and her toes trimmed and painted. I washed her. I loved her. And that's all I have. But this disease, she went out knowing that she was loved. She fought every step of the way. This disease cannot be cured. This disease has to be fought. It has to be fought right. You have to eat right. You cannot stress. You have to be loved. And you have to love yourself. So in closing, I say that I'm blessed. My brother's blessed. And my wife is my blessing. And I made sure that she was all right. I fought until the end with her. as she fought. So, to anybody that's watching this, I say fight for Amber and fight for anybody else that's sick, that is diseased. Love them, nurture them, comfort them, be their shoulder, listen to them, and do not judge them. Because they will go through depression. They will be mad. They will be angry. They will not want you around them. You have to give them their space. You have to come to them when they need you.